help us understand. Furmanos Foods is a regional processor of tomatoes and vegetables, beef products located in Northumberland, Pennsylvania. So just about 45 miles up the river from here. We're a fourth generation family-owned business. In fact, Chad, who's here with me, is Vice President of Strategy and Growth, and I are both family members. And we serve the retail and food service channels with both branded and private label products. We're a vertically integrated company. So we grow much of our own tomatoes that we use for the product line, and most of our tomatoes are sourced here in Pennsylvania and a few in New Jersey. And you may know us by our yellow can, which you can find in the grocery store, and I'll shamelessly say, if you don't know it, please visit the local grocery store on your way home and get to know our yellow cans. We were founded in 1921. This is a picture of J.W. Furman, our founder. He was what's called a truck patch farmer. He had a small garden, and he would truck his produce into town and sell it. And everybody in 1921 had a bumper crop of tomatoes. And a merchant told him, hey, if you could bring these back in the winter, I could sell them. And so he took that to heart, and that winter, or that fall, they canned 30 dozen glass jars of tomatoes. And that was the beginning of J.W. Furman Canning Company. Here's just a few pictures of our history. And present day, we employ 222 full-time employees, and we produce about 11 million cases of product. Our roots are in agriculture, and because of that, sustainability has been a big part of our culture. We believe that it's important that we are good stewards of the resources that God has given to us. So I'm going to talk about sustainability in several different areas of our company, just as an example. In agriculture, we use integrated crop management. We use university data, actually from Penn State, Blightcast, to determine the timeline to supply crop protection. So we put it on when it's needed. Zone tilling is a kind of a hybrid between traditional and no-till. With the vegetables that we grow and their root systems, no-till doesn't quite work, but we're able to reduce our energy usage because we're only tilling about a 8 to 12 inch section, and then we have GPS technology. Well, why would that be important in farming? Well, we hook it up to our tractors, and we can, if you see right there, you can see they're actually installing trickle irrigation, and there's also tomato plants that we transplant. They can install it directly in the center of that till strip.
That's pretty
okay? And then we get the best yields because we do that. The zone tilling helps with erosion control, both wind and water erosion. And with a drip and trickle irrigation, we use less water and less energy to get the water to our tomatoes. And we also monitor the moisture. So we have probes in our fields at various depths in the field, so we know how much water to put on when. It was already mentioned that there's a cogeneration facility. I do want to clarify, we don't own the cogeneration facility, but we've been partners with Viking Energy, who is a division of Suez Energy, for 26 years now. They burn wood chips to generate steam. They use that steam to generate electricity, and we also buy steam from them. There's a pipeline going directly from the Viking plant right to our facility, and they supply the lion's share of our steam. It's a partnership that's been working very well. And in fact, Suez and Viking Energy are members of AFREC as well. Another area is that we're sustainable is in our packaging. Cans are actually recyclable. And so most of our product is canned product. It's fully recyclable, and it's a good material. We're also, as part of our dry bean expert strategy, we're the only people in the country who are cooking dry beans in pouches right now. And it's interesting, the container, the pouch container, weighs about 13% of what a can weighs. And so if you imagine when you're shipping a lot more product and less container when you buy these items. make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself here. So we've had a lot of growth that you saw in the slides, and we need to continue that growth. In order to do that, we have to be able to process the wastewater that goes through our plant. And we want to continue our culture of sustainability. So I've invited our Vice President of Strategy and Growth, Chad Geist, to come up and talk about how our new wastewater treatment facility is going to continue our culture of sustainability.
So just starting with the picture up on the screen, this is actually a pretty strong symbol of the future of our company. As Dan mentioned, this is a new product introduction. We're the first to come to market with this. So as we looked over the future of our company, I was excited to see where this might take us. But it also brought the question, can we get there? And the bottleneck actually wasn't in operations being able to it was a much less glamorous area of our business, our wastewater treatment facility. So we had a decision to make. Do we want to stay in business in Pennsylvania and support that growth here locally? We've had a long history, 90 years of being here in Pennsylvania, and that's something that we wanted to continue. And if we were going to make an investment in a wastewater treatment facility, how are we going to do that? And Dan mentioned we do have a commitment to sustainability and environmental stewardship, so we want to make sure that whatever we do, that investment aligns with that. And just to talk about the facility we have, it's probably most known locally with the smell that generates during when we're producing our dry beans. It's not that friendly to the neighbors, but during tomato season, it certainly smells like some nice, fresh, tiny tomatoes. We have an aerobic treatment plant right now, and it's limited in its capacity on a couple different areas. In the winter months, it is subject to the temperature variation as the temperature drops. It limits our capacity in that plant, so that also limits production's ability to run a lot of that product through our facility. It needs a consistent food source, so if we're ever to take our business out of operation for maintenance or for whatever reason, it would not be able to come back online as quickly once we start introducing product to that. And there's a lot of sludge that it generates. Because we are in agriculture, it's organic waste, so we are allowed to spray that on our fields as a nutrient. But at the same time, that builds up during the winter months when the ground's frozen, and then we have to waste that off in the spring. And there's a lot of trucks, kind of a continuous flow that has to come in, so a lot of carbon impact from doing that. During our summer season, we're going through our fresh pack, producing tomatoes, and our volume significantly increases through our plant. So we supplement our current facility with our spray fuel capacity. And we also have other screenings that we have to apply, product that is of lesser quality, that isn't making it into our products, get land applied throughout the fields. So looking at the direction we want to go, as I mentioned, we want to make sure we're doing something that aligns with our sustainability and environmental stewardship initiative. And first and foremost, we want to make sure that we're going to be able to be a sustainable business in Pennsylvania to support the future growth we have projected. We also wanted to really eliminate the reliance on our spray field irrigation for that application. It takes a lot of effort to get that up and running, and it's not as reliable as what we would like it to be. And many of you in the room may be familiar with the large push and the focus on the Chesapeake Bay. We are a point source discharger to the Susquehanna River, which flows down to Chesapeake Bay, so there's been a lot of regulation on the nutrient limitations that we can discharge, total nitrogen and total phosphorus. So whatever we want to do, we want to make sure that we exceeded the expectations that were going to be put on us by that. So what we did is we're looking to invest in anaerobic technology. We have all this organic waste, but aren't really capturing the value from it. And with anaerobic technology, we're actually going to be able to harness the methane that generates and convert that into electricity. We're going to be taking that and then selling that back to the grid. Looking at our on-site load, I know that's something that Blaine had talked about. We're actually going to be able to offset 33% of our on-site load from the methane that we're going to be able to harness through this facility. It's also going to give us a waste heat advantage that we can find alternative uses for. Part of that is to heat our current facility. As we're in agriculture, we've also talked about other alternatives, greenhouses that we could keep warm during the winter months. And then our existing equipment is very inefficient, the aerobic side of it, and we're going to continue to have that, but we're going to invest in more energy efficient technology. And then the sludge was one thing that I touched on before. It could be 1 to 2 years before we actually have any sludge coming out of this plant. And then once it does, it's going to be a 70 to 90% reduction from the sludge that we currently are having. So when we look at, at times during the winter months we had to send that to landfills, or during the spring of the year when we have to get rid of what we build up during the summer, that's going to significantly reduce the amount of carbon and transportation costs that we have. And this is just an overview of the plant. The items in the darker, the grayed out areas, the larger tank is actually a 200-foot diameter tank that we're going to be putting in, and then the other 2 smaller tanks downstream from that are the aerobic investment that we're making. It's a significant investment in our business. It's going to actually be over $12 million right now, and we have been fortunate enough to receive some help and funding through Pennsylvania Green Energy Works. It was an AIR program, as well as the Alternative Clean Energy Program through DCED. So that's been great. What we haven't seen, though, is any initiative to really help out with the nutrient side of things, and I think that's hopefully something that will be coming along in the future. But to that, are there any questions for Dan?